Hello, you beautiful people out there, and welcome to the Banners Gaming's video on first impressions on Dalaran and the class halls. This first impression is from the alpha build, and it is a more visual style impression, as Warcraft is going into working on you being more immersed into the world through legendary quest lines and class order halls and going out and doing things yourself. We're going to talk about how the art makes us feel inside. Does it make us feel warm and cuddly? Maybe not. This is Kimo.
And my name is Wisdom. And as Kimo already mentioned, we are taking a look at class halls primarily, and we're going to spend some time talking about the updates to Dalaran as well. From what we've seen so far, not every single class hall is available, but those that we have access to do look pretty good so far. I mean, the Demon Hunter one in particular caught my attention just because the sky effects, right? The skybox, or at least some of the graphics that have been shown off so far, look pretty impressive. I mean, it's not surprising that the newest class would get the most polish, but it does make me a little bit sad that we may not be seeing equal treatment across the classes.
I have found something really interesting before we get into all the class talk. If anybody looks at picture 35 out of 257 on Wowhead, you will see how we are going to beat Legion. Cloud himself from Final Fantasy VII has come over to use his Omni Slash on Gul'dan to save the day. Yes, it's his hair. It looks like Cloud. If anybody wants to look at picture 35, Cloud has now retired to selling flowers. Yeah, his days in the sun are over. But back to the main video and the point.
Well, I guess
Dalaran.
we are
You
talking
want to
about.
hit Dalaran before we go into all the classes?
Doesn't seem like we have much of a choice at this point. So,
ADD rules my life. I'm sorry. I saw Cloud and went right for it.
so from what we're seeing, by and large, it seems like we're only getting texture upgrades to Dalaran. Now, personally, I'm a little bit disappointed. As fun as I think Dalaran is, I think it had its moment in the sun, and I think that ultimately it probably should have stayed in Wrath. Now, maybe they can manage to sell it, make the lore and the experience really compelling, but from what I've seen so far, it's just a polished version of what we've already had, and I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of it. So I do like that we get high-res textures, and it looks like they're really taking the time to put some polish on this, but overall, it doesn't look like they're doing anything more than that. I mean, we're really not even seeing layout changes, which, I mean, you wouldn't expect too much of, but, maybe moving the vendors.
Now, there may be layout changes, but just from the pictures of what we're seeing, it doesn't look very different. Even the portal room looks exactly the same. Like, if any of you vanilla players out there know the more dots guy, more dots, more dots. It's like they stuck him in the room with the art guys and were like, more pixels, but nothing else. Everything just stayed the same. They just influxed a bunch of more pixels in there. Now, the art does look good as far as the pixelization. And it almost makes me wonder when they do it. I don't know the process, but I wonder if they have to actually do it all over again to get the pixels. And if they were to do that much rework, why not just make it slightly different? I expected some kind of variance as far as building structures and stuff like that. I wonder if because we're working together now, if there no longer be a horde side and alliance side. That could be a thing.
Yeah, as someone who's never actually gotten a horde character up to whatever level to be over there and has never cared enough to go check, it would be interesting to see what the horde side looks like. I mean, I've gotten ported out of there more times than I can remember because I just didn't understand that there was a divide there for a long time when I started playing.
But what's going to be there if all the alliance, class halls are going to be mixed? I wonder if they're going to do some kind of fun with the one side of Dalaran and leave the other side to everybody.
Well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they keep the faction conflict alive. I mean, it seems like we're going kind of the route of Cataclysm here, where everybody's buddy buddy one once again. Though, we saw the player pushback when that happened, though that is a a topic for another video. So, I'm not sure that there's much more to say about what we've seen in Dalaran. I mean, it's nice that people are getting updated, but I mean, besides throwing Khadgar in there, I don't think much has moved.
Yeah, I'm not seeing much of a change. Some sky upgrades probably definitely looks like they have some cooler sky effects, and
It is in a new part of the world, so you would expect.
yes, it has been teleported with the TARDIS. It was nice, man. We're really pulling all the stops. I need Doctor Who in this. I need Cloud. I don't know who else to recruit to beat the Legion, man, but shiz. Going to the order halls, Death Knight class hall, um, looks the same.
It seems like it got the Dalaran treatment, honestly. I mean, I like that they are going through and giving us genuine high-res textures for what we are used to at this point in the tech curve, but it really is just kind of the same deal. It doesn't look like it's really anything special. Um, so for someone who's played a Death Knight several times, I am not too pumped. I'm going to be more excited to get my hands on the artifact and then go start beating Legion bosses than I am to be hanging around in my class hall. But what are you going
Here's
to
my
do?
opinion on it. If they want to just redo Dalaran and redo Death Knight class halls and make it look nice, that's okay. If, from an art perspective, we get a lot of love. If that gives the artist an opportunity to make your legendary weapon have different colors and more options than it would have by them saving that steps, wonderful. And I have a lot of faith in the art team. They did a really good job throughout Warlords. So I'm going to go with yes. No, the art team did. The art and the raid team did. And the quest team. There was a lot of pitfalls.
Mm,
Well, we can debate that in another video. I can tell by you shaking your head. The audience can't see it, but Wisdom does not agree. But, if it's one of those, oh, like, we're going to drop Warlords early because things aren't going well with garrisons, and then make us all think that Legion's going to be right around the corner, and there's going to be, like, so much, and there's not going to be a, 10-month wait, and it doesn't happen, then I'm going to be upset. So if I see return on the slackerjacking, per se, then I'm okay with it. If I don't see return on the slackerjacking, I'm not okay with it. And I like the term Dalaran effect. I think that's going to be our new key phrase for rehashing.
Moving forwards just a little bit, it looks like the Druid and Hunter areas have gotten a lot of love. I mean, we're not just talking about reskins. This is more like the Demon Hunter style class alt, where it's a whole different deal, right? I believe that the Hunter Hall is supposed to be, yeah. So the Hunter Hall is in High Mountain, right? So we're not getting anything recycled out of the old world. Generally speaking, whenever we have a class hall that is not in an older part of the world, it is getting so, a lot of love. All right, we see it with the Hunter Hall, we see it with the Demon Hunter Hall, and the Druid one in particular. I mean, I've got a sweet spot for Druids. I will admit they are a fun class to play, and they are getting a lot of fun art. It's not just we're sticking in your 10-year-old Treant models and we're gonna call it good. They are doing a lot of polish there, and I think that it's doing some nice things. One of the things I do want to point out is if you are looking through the Wowhead inventory of pictures that have to deal with the class halls in the Hunter Hall and a couple others, you can see reference to the Borderlands style entry shots that we got a first taste of in Warlords, right? You remember every single one of the Warlords got introduced in their own little, slow pan name pops up onto the screen, kind of an intro. And it looks like we're going to be getting that back, which I think is a fun little addition. It doesn't add a lot, but it does help the important lore characters stick out in your head. I mean, we have had a lot of people be involved in Warlords. I think we're only getting more people involved in Legion now that we have both factions playing nice to some degree. And I think it's gonna be nice to help us keep track of these things. I also think that it's pretty fun that it looks like some trapped mobs that are stuck permanently in freezing traps in the Hunter class hall. That seems fun to me.
Yeah, the one thing I think is really cool about the Hunter class halls is they let you ride chocobos, which is pretty freaking awesome. So if anybody's a fan of Final Fantasy, you can now ride around on your very own chocobo.
I wouldn't make too many promises that your ass can't cash.
No, that is a lie. But in all seriousness, though, the Druid class hall looks awesome. It's nice. It has a very vibrant, flowing kind of alive garden look that just really suits like a powerful being of nature. And the hunter ones, I mean, hey, it's what you expect. There's a bunch of bows and guns everywhere, and animals and tents and target practice. It looks good. It looks where it needs to be. I like it a lot.
Now, I can't because I don't play a mage. I can't be bothered to talk about their class hall. Though it does look nice that they are giving some equal love to each one of the three specs, even though everybody knows that arcane is boring. Moving on to the exciting one, the
Well,
monk.
the mage class. Hold on now. The mage
We are
class one I
busy.
think looks kind of cool. I'm actually a fan. I like the whole. I'm gonna assume that the whole fire background thing changes to triple different colors, panning kind of thing. But It looks really, really nice. I like the whole magic vibe of it. It's got the ice going on, and it, the whole. It looks like the old school dungeon in Violet Hold kind of theme going on. So I really do like it.
Moving on to the class that people are actually interested in,
Oh boy.
the monk class hall here. I'm super excited because for anybody who's ever leveled a Pandaren character, you know that once you get off the giant turtle, you can't go back. All right, the Wandering Isle is off limits to players once they decide to pick a faction and leave that starting area. Well, for the first time ever, we get to go back. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We get to go back to the turtle. It's going to be so much fun. I think we get the entire zone to play with from what we've seen. It's not just a tiny part of the turtle, it is the whole thing. So, I'll be curious to see how the leveling pandas either get phased out or get to be interacted with by the higher level characters, but it doesn't change the fact we get an entire island. I mean, this is going to be cool.
It would be really cool if it moves too. Like Turtle Lake. So sometimes you're maybe on one side of the world, and sometimes you're on the other, and you just can
I
port
hope
to it, and you just kind of
I
hop
really hope
off.
that we can fly on it. Being able to fly around and take a look at it from the outside would be pretty cool. Especially, if you can just fly from, one continent out a little bit over the water onto the turtle, depending on where it is.
But you have to be drunk in order to fly on the islands.
That's a given. I'm a brewmaster.
Yeah, but I gotta say, guys, the Brewmaster one, and I was a fan of the Art of Pandaria. I did like that style. I think it takes that and makes it even better into one floating turtle. It's really nice. If you guys haven't checked out the art for this, you definitely should. I'm excited to go on it.
I also think that they really do right by the paladins. The going a step further with the Cathedral of Light deal and just really polishing it. It looks very professional, and I think that it's very clean and well executed. I think that the paladins are going to get a lot of love this expansion, and hopefully they won't have a silly looking armor set like their Mythic Tier 17. But I mean, they get Ashbringer. They're getting a lot of other really big name weapons, and they've always gotten a lot of love in the lore. But I do think that they are getting something special this time around. So I think that their class hall is going to be something that will draw a lot of people to the class that don't play it already.
Hopefully, the warrior class hull gets executed as well as the paladin one. Ha!
Well, speaking of, one of the things that we've heard rumor of that's going to make the warrior class hall stand apart is that there will be a sort of free for all brawling area where if you step into the ring, you are attackable by anybody else who is in there. So I like that they are doing some little special snowflake things to set every single class hall apart. Right. I think that, we're going to have the opportunity for hunters to do something special in theirs. Hopefully, monks will get something unique in their own. I like that everybody's going to get
I heard about
something.
what monks are gonna get. You didn't hear? Monks is getting the ability to portal your garrison into Legion, so you never have to leave it behind.
That is noteworthy because it'll make it that much easier to just keep on grinding out gold missions until the end of time.
Just see like all the monks delete their characters. There's no monks on the server. They're gone.
It's not like we're not
Done.
underrepresented enough, right? What is it? Like 4% of the entire population plays a monk?
Well, we are part of the special four. 100% of this podcast right now plays a monk, even though I'm
You ran
half
away. You
hunter.
can't claim it anymore.
Still my higher item level. Nah.
Turncoat. One that's of particular note here is the rogues were concerned for a very long time, and they were very upset that they were not getting Ravenhold. Even when they got dev acknowledgement, they still got shot down here.
Who
And
wouldn't want to be in a sewer? Come on. Who's not like, you want to live in a sewer? They're like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, come on. They're like fucking superhero turtle things.
And just like how nobody likes the turtles, I'm not
Oh,
sure if people
shit.
are going to be sold on the rogue class hall. I mean, I don't play a rogue, so I don't necessarily love the aesthetic, but I'm not sure that they've really delivered. I mean, it looks okay. They've certainly done it right with high res and everything like that, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be super special. I'm not convinced that it's what everybody really wanted. And I imagine that once we get a lot more coverage and especially some gameplay videos of rogues, especially people who are big in the community, posting up content of what their class hall looks like, we're going to have a lot of community outcry again about how this is not what they wanted.
Yeah, and I will say the rogue, as Wisdom put it, It's the Dalaran syndrome. It looks just like a high res version of Dalaran sewers. That's really all. I don't see anything right now special about it at all.
Rumor has it that there is supposed to be some extra spaces that weren't in the original floor plan. It's like a unique area of Dalaran sewers that you never really got to see, excuse me, in the original version. But even so, I mean, they don't have to include a lot of the things that they had in the original Dalaran sewers that made it accessible to everybody. It really can be all about the rogues now, but that still doesn't give them a lot. I mean, some of these screenshots, right? You've just got piles of gold sitting on the floor in what looks like it's supposed to be a vault area, but it's not even particularly pretty or well done. I don't know. I'm not excited about it, but I also don't play Rogue, so it's not my problem.
Yeah, I'm not excited about it either. But the whole rogue style doesn't really hit me. So maybe it'll hit people who, you know, play rogue. Going on to the priest one. Now we can only tell by the screenshots here, but it looks like there is a half and half emphasis on a shadow style and a light style. That's just how it looks to me. I see like a lot of pictures with dark, shadowy like figures, and I see pictures with light. I think they're really trying to push the shadow spec a little bit more and kind of promote it a little bit in the class hall.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Shadow's really been well developed in the lore. I mean, maybe I'm wrong there because that's not really my area of expertise. But it does seem like they are putting a lot of emphasis on this. I mean, if I had to really sum up what the order hall for them looks like to me, it's the Draenei aesthetic done right. I mean, you've got a lot of the Naru influence there, right? So you have some of those big beings of light kind of things involved in this. It's very bright and open. It does look a little bit, kind of churchy, temple-y, however you want to call that. But it doesn't look bad. It's actually it reminds me a lot of what the Exit Art could have been if it wasn't total garbage.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. It is definitely done right. Yeah. The warrior class hall.
Yeah, they do a nice job with that. It does look very sort of Valhalla inspired. It's definitely got a lot of that Nordic influence. I believe Odin is actually one of the big players who stays in the Order Hall. So
You know what? The first thing I think of, the first thing that popped into my mind when I saw the picture was Skyreach. I don't know why, but it just the first couple pictures, not the not the green ones, the actual order hall, looks like Skyreach kind of texture, doesn't
it
it?
does give you a little bit of that feel. I think that the color palette, at least in my eyes, is different enough that it's not going to make me cry as soon as I look at it. But it's there. You do have a lot of the wings going on still. I'm actually going to be curious to see if they don't do a bit of a mesh between your sort of stereotypical warrior aesthetic and your sort of wings from the paladin aesthetic, where we see either like a spell effect or something special that really kind of pushes the Valkyrie appearance onto players, because that could be interesting, and I would be curious to see how people feel about that, because it does kind of seem like the direction that they're going, rather than the like hardcore cliche Skyrim horns on helmet kind of a Viking approach.
It makes sense. And keep in mind, guys, that this is all alpha, so they could add more stuff to like the rogue area or any area, and they will. They probably, even if they weren't fully done with one of them, if they were going to release everything, they're not going to leave one class out, generally speaking. So bear that in mind. It's just alpha. But I really like the direction of a lot of these, with the exception of the rogue. And the Death Knight is just kind of like a cool reskin. I mean, it'd be cool for me because I don't spend haven't spent a lot of time in the original area, but for people who are very familiar with Death Knights, you're not going to get a new scenery.
Yeah, overall, it is worth mentioning that if we haven't brought up your class here, it's just because we don't have images of that available. I presume those parts of the world aren't unlocked yet. We only have a couple different zones that are available in the alpha so far. So, if you didn't hear us bring up your favorite class, don't freak out. It is still in the works and it will be coming. But the disappointing part about this is, I think we're far enough along in the development process, even though we are in relatively early alpha, that you're not going to see big changes, right? Even if the rogues cry until they are out of tears, we're not going to see that change to something else. And I think that's maybe where there's some of the concern here. Because if they don't clean it up and they don't do a better job with what they've already given us, well, you're kind of boned. I mean, it's not like we're going to have an entire revamp. And I think that even if they did decide to revamp something, it would be, so half baked that you might have people even more upset because they didn't give it the same, development process that all of the other order halls are getting because they've been around for longer. So,
Bottom line, it's going to take a true rogue to get that switched. You have to stealth into Blizzard Studios, pickpocket the data that has that on there, and then delete it. That's the
and
only way they're going to make a new one.
pretty much. So, good luck to everybody who wants to pull a heist on Blizzard HQ. Let us know how that goes down in the comments. But till that point,
Till that point, this has been the Banner Gaming's video on our first impressions of Dalaran and the class halls. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed our video, please like, comment, and subscribe below. If you like our art, please check out our wonderful artist link below. This has been Kimo.
and I have been Wisdom. Please do let us know down in the comments if you managed to steal anything from Blizzard, or what order halls are your favorite, even if it's not for a class you play. I mean, I really do like the way that the Paladin one is shaping up, yet I don't have a Paladin at cap. So please let us know. We would love to hear from you. As always, thank you for watching and have a good night.
Bye-bye.
So